there. I'm here with my sister, Emily Guy Birkin. There's no hyphen in her name.
And I'm here with my sister, Tracie Guy Decker. Yes, there's a hyphen in her name.
Together, we are Lightbringers. We illuminate the deeper meaning of the crime-solving devil TV show. And yes, we are overthinking
We're overthinking it.
So today we're talking about episodes 12 and 13 from season 1. So hashtag Team Lucifer and Take Me Back to Hell. And I'm really, really glad that actually, let me start over. We were so smart that we planned this out. That these two would be, that we would be talking about these two together in the same episode because they really
that was entirely according to plan, by design on our part.
Love it when a plan comes together. Yeah. So I'm actually going to start with like the title of hashtag Team Lucifer because yeah, me too, except that Malcolm is the one who actually voices that phrase. So it's like, I don't know, there's a lot of ambivalence for me actually on the rewatch of this title since which is unusual, right? Almost always Lucifer himself is the one who says what the title of the episode is. But in this episode, Malcolm gets that honor. And so there's this weird, I don't know. To
be fair, I can't see Lucifer speaking in hashtag.
Agreed. This would not be a title from his speech. Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, so that's just where I wanted to start. But I think these two episodes to close out the first season were so great because in hashtag Team Lucifer, we see Satanists, right? We see the people who the sort of moms against profanity, I'm making that group up, but the folks who might rail against this TV show without ever having seen it, this satanic group in this episode are exactly who they think they're railing against. So I think it's really interesting that, you know, the penultimate episode in the first season, we get to see this and see Lucifer like pretty disgusted by them, right?
Well, and we also see just in the character of Mitch, the head Satanist, Onyx, we see how harmless he is. You know, like ultimately it's just like, I got into this and now I don't know how to get out.
Right. You know? Right. And even like the way he talks about, like, I like the philosophy, which Lucifer himself talks about free will, right? And then he's like, and now I'm the friggin' high priest, like, you know, and these people take it way too seriously.
Which I'm not sure how you would fall up that like that, but you know, I guess I can see it where it's one of those things.
If you stick around long enough for any kind of club, you know,
anything, you end up in charge of it. That's true.
If you have any kind of competence whatsoever. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. One of the other things that I feel like the writers really threw us fans a bone in this one is a couple episodes ago, we heard the sort of when Amenadiel reveals that he's the one who started the goat association. And then this episode is all the goats with the Satanists, the fake Lucifer with the like goat head and he bumps
it's the top of
the lintel. Oh man.
That was amazing.
And that's the moment when Lucifer is like, oh,
like,
no.
All right, I'm done.
Oh, and he's I noticed this on rewatch. If you watch that scene where he's like, oh no, I am done. And he opens the door to Chloe's face, like the glass hits her face. She's just, I don't think I noticed that in my first, 10 watching. But in this rewatch, that really stood out to me. That was very funny.
The other thing that diehard fans probably know, but there's Easter eggs for the comic book in this. So when the Satanist who answers the door and he says, "I'm Lucifer,"
right, and he says, "You're supposed to be blonde.
You're supposed to be blonde," and then Corazone's real name is Mike Carey. Mike Carey was one of the writers.
Oh, and the comic book.
Yeah, and I only just recently realized. I read some books by Mike Carey. It's probably 10 years ago now that I really enjoyed. I didn't remember the author's name. I just remembered like the name of the book and stuff like that. And I just recently ran across them, the Felix Castor books. And it's a similar kind of
Anti-hero.
Yeah, well, there's the anti-hero, and then it's also like the kind of world building where he lives in the real world, but there's like magic and zombies and things like that. Like one of the things that I just was vivid for me was he's friends with a zombie who lives in an old converted movie theater that he keeps like freezing cold because he's really scared about rotting. So, that's like what the
zombie's afraid of rotting.
Yes. So I was like, and I only recognized only when I came across the Felix Castor book recently, I was like, oh, Mike Carey. And I know Mike Carey from Lucifer, and they're the same person. Yay. So that's that made me very happy.
Yeah. So the other thing that these two episodes do is to really like tie the bow around Malcolm as, you know, just a psychotic kind, like evil. I was hesitating to use that word, but that is the word that is used within the show itself. When Lucifer sees Mike Carey's corpse, and I think it's Malcolm who says, "What do you make of this?" And Lucifer's response is, "I'm realizing how long it's been since I have encountered true evil." And that sort of tying up, like, we knew Malcolm was not a good guy. Like, we've known that for a long minute, but these two episodes together really just put a bright line under just how not a good guy he is.
Well, and
has become.
What's interesting is because the show is very much about redemption, but there does not appear to be any path to redemption for Malcolm.
Agreed.
And so that's something I'm curious about. Now, like the thing that I find interesting, and so like it's something that you see often when you go on like the Reddit Lucifer page and subreddit, people are saying like, well, if guilt sends you to hell, then like, you know, sociopaths and psychopaths are not going to go to hell. When it's very clear that, yeah, that's where Malcolm is going, because he doesn't feel any guilt for anything he's doing here. There is no sense of anything other than glee at what he's doing. And even like terrorizing Trixie,
right,
doesn't seem to bother him in the slightest.
Right.
Although I will say there's something about watching this, the way like he lifts Trixie up at one point, or lifts her down.
Yeah, down.
Down. And I felt like Kevin Rankin and Scarlett Esperanza. Oh gosh, what is her last name?
I don't know, but Espinosa is her character's name. So
I know. But Scarlett, the actress
who plays Trixie,
like there was something like that I could see past the characters and be like,
yeah,
oh, Kevin's okay with her.
She sort of lifts up her arms like to make room for his hands on her rib cage. Yeah, I noticed that as well. Like she's a participant in that being lifted down.
Yeah.
And
it seemed a little like that doesn't make sense for the characters, but it made me feel like Kevin Rankin's an okay guy and he's treating this child actress nicely.
Yeah. Actually, as I'm rewatching and now that I have the entire
Scarlett Estevez.
Thank you.
I think.
And now that I have the entire series in mind, now that, you know, we're recording this after season 6 has been released, watching Malcolm die, I actually thought, oh, well, that would have been interesting to bring him back in the final episode of season 6. And I'm not sorry they didn't. Like that might have been difficult.
I don't think there was a way to do that.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah. But the thought did cross my mind. So that was sort of interesting. You know, one thing about his death that they don't spell out specifically, and I kind of wish they did because I'm super literal. He's given the coin. He makes a deal with Lucifer. If you don't shoot me, you can have this get out of hell free coin. But then he shoots him. To me, that's why the coin won't work for him. They imply that it's because, you know, God gave it to Lucifer to get out of hell to come back. But what I don't know. That also is true. Like he broke his deal with the devil. Of course he doesn't have the coin anymore. I wish they had said that, because that feels like, to me, only further underscoring like he is the devil, right?
Yeah,
like when you break a deal with the devil,
there are consequences,
and you lose the benefits that you gained from the deal. So that was like a piece that I felt like was it felt like a low-hanging fruit to me that would have been extremely satisfying for me as a viewer, that I felt like was missed.
And for Lucifer to say to him, like, you break a deal with the devil, you lose your
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I wonder if they didn't do that because they wanted to, because there was that very emotional, like, God, I need you to save me. And because I don't think it occurred to Lucifer in that moment, like, oh, he broke his deal, like, I get my coin back. I think they wanted us to be
right. He says,
on,
I know a guy. Turns out I know a guy. Right. They wanted the focus to be on God. So yeah, that makes sense. And also, I don't know, I think it could have been done both ways, right? Like he could have even said, like, apparently I know a guy who enforces my deals. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there could have been a way to write it that would have made God be Lucifer's like enforcer, which would have been like weird and awesome.
God's my leg breaker.
I mean, it's kind of what happened.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
I know a guy, but I can't say his name because you can't hear it. I mean, like, you know? Anyway.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. But I, like, as I've said throughout, like, I like seeing Malcolm go more and more evil. Like, there's just something enjoyable about it, even though he's doing such truly terrible things.
Horrific. Yeah.
But I remember reading something recently about saying, like, how villains these days, you so rarely see a villain enjoying themselves, like enjoying their villainy. And so, like, the example they gave was like Ursula from The Little Mermaid. Like, oh yeah, she's having a ball with her badness.
Do I help them? Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. Yes. And so that's kind of how I feel about Kevin Rankin's Malcolm Graham, because he is just enjoying the crap out of everything he's doing.
Yeah, that scene when Lucifer realizes he's the one who's killed the two people in Lucifer's apartment, that like sums up exactly what you're talking about. I mean, he just, even his like, I've been waiting all day for you to tell you, you know, like there's this like this anticipation that he's holding with his whole body. It's really powerful.
It's just I just really appreciate, like, both in like the craft of acting and what he's doing, because it is over the top, but it's totally. Like,
choose the scenery.
But it fits.
But it fits with the character. Yeah.
Well, even and then the fact that, like, how people react to him, like when he winks at Lucifer at the beginning of #Lucifer, he's like,
the wink and the porn stash, maybe not what you're going for.
Between that and
detective stash.
Detective douche, detective stash.
Oh, so funny.
So yeah, I really, really appreciate that. So like, he did a great job. Made a great villain.
So we've talked about the craft, the writer's craft. We've talked about the actors, especially for Take Me Back to Hell. I want to talk about the cinematography. Like, this is a beautifully directed episode. Like, so the scene when Chloe takes the call from what she thinks is Trixie and then realizes that it's Malcolm, there's a lot of shots of like zooming out, like to show her like aloneness in despite the activity, and like the sort of
because she has no idea who she
doesn't know who she can trust. And then and the scene from above as Lucifer is bleeding, having just been shot, and the growing stain and the little bit of like blood on his mouth, but the cinematography of it from above, so we get that full frontal facial of Tom Ellis talking to God, and then it goes down to indicate that we're down in hell, and the sort of in and out of focus in hell. I just visually, I thought that episode was just really superbly done. Like I felt myself really enjoying and being like pulled into the emotion, not just from the acting and the writing, but also from the way that it was produced and filmed. So I just want to like lift that up because we haven't talked about that at all together so far.
Well, and in the very beginning of that episode, when Amenadiel and Lucifer are standing on the roof in the rain, it's like really beautifully done.
So gorgeous.
And then, I mean, like, I think I last time I rewatched this, I sent you a text like, Tom Hill is standing in the rain is my sexual orientation.
I think it was actually singing, but yes.
That too.
Yeah. You know, so those things I think were beautifully done. The one that was like, I was like, what is going on is Amenadiel's apartment.
Yes.
I think I read a tweet one time, or maybe it was on the subreddit, that said like the 1980s music video called and they want their set back.
Yes, Tawny Katane could be dancing in that set.
Like it was like that, the white 4-poster bed in the middle of the room and all the candles all around. Like, I don't know. It was like clearly somebody was like, they're sitting around. What does an angel's apartment look like? I don't know. Candles, white. I don't know.
Do you know, I just recently rewatched Meatloaf's I Would Do Anything for Love music video, which, by the way, was directed by Michael Bay, because of course it was.
I don't know who that is. I'm sorry.
He's the Transformers explosions guy.
Oh, that guy. Yeah. Okay.
That Michael Bay. Yeah. And so, yes, there is definitely like, you could see Meatloaf just belting it out in there.
Yeah. Or like I can imagine like Billy Idol in there, like tearing the bed apart or something, or like knocking candles off. I don't know.
So, I mean, I can see like someone saying like, okay, so he's trying to recreate what it feels like to be in the Silver City. So like, so that's why all the white,
I guess.
The candle, I don't know.
But clearly we're not the only ones who felt that it didn't work, because we never see that set again.
Never.
The entire series. We
never know where he sleeps any other time.
He like, I think in the next season, it seems to be implied that he sleeps in that office in Linda's office building. And then I don't know, because he and Linda are not, I don't know, but we never see that set again. So obviously.
Well, and it's also, it wouldn't be so bad if the bed weren't just in the middle of the room. I mean, like, it would still be weird. It would still be like, okay, this is some 14-year-old's like way intense. Like, if she got her own, like, she could decorate however she wanted.
Like, it's not that, I mean, it's not that we have to shove all of our furniture against the walls, but like, I don't know, it was the only furniture in the room, and it was right in the middle.
There's no bedside table. There's no
lamps,
dresser.
Just a bunch of candles. Like, where does he keep his,
there's a fireplace too, though, right?
Yes, which has a raging fire in it.
Okay.
Yes, there's a lot of fire in that room, because a lot of candles and a fire in the fireplace. And then
the bed had canopy hangings, which just seems like a fire hazard.
I don't remember canopy. It definitely has 4 posts.
Yeah.
I think there's like window dressings that like.
Okay. There's just something wispy and.
Yeah.
Well, and I just kind of imagine like D.B. Woodside being like, I would never live here.
All right, whatever you say, man. Whatever you say. All right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what an angel's house looks like.
So yeah, no, I agree. That was a very, very odd decision on their part, but
it was a little distracting, to be honest.
Yeah. It's similar in that like I haven't, after like you no longer see this again, I don't think about where Amenadiel sleeps anymore. But I do wonder where the heck Linda does, because you do not see her house until like the 4th season, and you see that she's got a pull-out couch, which is like, what therapist has a pull-out couch in their office?
One who sleeps with her patients.
So, although I think you and I retconned like a reason for it is like because she and her husband, which we find out in season 3 are separated,
recently separated,
recently
right?
separated. So maybe she was like staying there until she found her own place.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
I do. So the other thing I was thinking about, because we talked about, I think either last time or the time before, about how people react when they learn that Amenadiel is Lucifer's brother. And so I was thinking about it in terms of like, okay, what would be realistic, and then but not a microaggression. And Linda is like, he's your brother somehow, but I think that has more to do with the fact that like
She
what
knows
the
them
hell,
both separately.
she
Yeah.
knows them separately. And then Dan's reaction is like, you've got to be lying to me, because like none of this makes any sense, like because everything is weird and crazy right now. So I don't know. I mean, like, again, they were realistic responses, and everyone accepts it after that. But I was thinking about it while watching
Yeah.
these again.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's talk about the feather. The feather that heals Amenadiel.
Mm-hmm.
And the just the wings in general. Like, I don't know. We talked about the wings before in Wingman. So as a sort of deus ex machina, I guess it works, you know, like this demon forged blade, and we need to have Amenadiel healed. But I don't know. I suspended my disbelief because I want Amenadiel to live and I love the show, but it was hard for me to suspend my disbelief that like she sets the thing on the wound and like the light is so bright you can, you know, it goes out all the windows that we see from outside. I don't know. It just, and then meanwhile, like Amenadiel's just like walking around with like full wingspan, like, you know, like a 6-foot wingspan of these things that are that potent, which I guess makes sense of why they freaked out when they were in human hands. And also, like, when all those characters were handling them, where they're like, you know, paper cuts healing and shit, like, you know,
well,
like,
but it's healing an angel, it's not healing a human.
True. Yep. Good point.
And
So it's when two things both created by God's hand come together.
Yeah.
That it, you know, brings the one back to its intended form.
Yeah.
I guess I can buy that. I guess I can buy that.
Well, and it's also like the filter they use to make it like glow, like it was like yellow.
Yeah. Like it was golden.
Yeah. When Lucifer's wings are white. The other thing I was thinking about was like, how would that get Mazikeen back to hell?
I don't think
like,
she knew.
Okay.
My impression of that scene is that she wasn't actually sure how that would work.
Gotcha.
But she figured that, and that's why she was
willing to sacrifice it. Yeah.
Well, it's part of why she's willing to sacrifice. That's why she kept it, because she was like, I don't know, but it seems like this could come in handy someday. And then, but I don't know how. And I know that this will help Amenadiel. That was the impression that I got, was that she didn't know how it might help her get back. She just thought that it might somehow.
Do you know one thing that I think is really interesting, that upon rewatch I like was really brought home to me? Amenadiel is completely blaming Lucifer and is not listening to him about like how this is entirely Amenadiel's fault until Maze says it. And that's what gets him to change his mind. That's what gets him to think like, yeah, I have messed up, and it's not fair to just send Lucifer back to hell and just, you know, do this based on all of the bad things I have done. So like, I thought that was really an interesting
turning point.
Additionally, the fact that he goes to confront Lucifer because of Maze, because of Maze's betrayal.
Actually, you know, these two episodes are all about betrayal. I mean, there's a lot of like real and perceived betrayals, like, but that hurt, that feeling of hurt, I think, you know, Lucifer feels as though Chloe has betrayed him, which is why he says, I'm done, take me back. Because and Maze and even Malcolm,
well,
you know,
and Linda,
feels
I mean,
betrayed
her
by
first,
both of them. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
And Maze feels betrayed by both of them, that she was a
mm-hmm,
pawn. Yeah, there's a
mm-hmm,
lot of like um there's a lot of hurt feelings among the core characters in
mm-hmm.
these two episodes.
Well, and even Chloe, when she's like, you've been avoiding me for 3 weeks because
Yeah.
I got the teeniest bit touchy-feely with you.
Right. Which is like such a real fear, right? Like that. I mean, I feel like as human beings, like that is the number, you know, if I actually show who I am or how I'm feeling, I will get rejected. Right. I feel like that is like the number one fear for a lot of human beings moving through the world. I mean, once our actual physical needs are taken care of. So, you know, that's really real.
And a completely reasonable concern of hers based on his actions and what, you know, what she knows to be true.
Yeah. I mean, and how conflicted must you be that like you're working with this dude who's clearly delusional in some way, right? Unless he's actually the devil, which is too hard.
There's no possible way. Yeah.
It's too hard to wrap your mind around. So he's clearly delusional in some way, but you like working with him and he is helpful, but he thinks he's the devil. He genuinely believes he's the devil. I just want to hold for a second. Like,
yeah. How do you,
I don't know that I could do that. Like, how do you take him seriously then? How can you like genuinely say like, I feel like I can be myself around you? Crazy person who thinks you're the devil.
But you know, in some ways that kind of makes it freer. Do you know what I mean? Because you know,
the devil's not going to judge you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and someone who delusionally believes they're the devil.
Right.
He's not going to judge you.
Right. And he never I mean, like, if it is a delusion, he never drops it. Right. It's like later, Ella thinks he's a method actor, but he never drops it, you know?
Yeah. I was actually thinking about that when they go to the apartment of the murdered young woman with her father, and we don't see like the introduction, like, you know, Mr. Whatever, I'm Chloe Decker, this is my associate Lucifer Morningstar, and like I was thinking, like, how do they, considering how his daughter died?
Yeah.
How do they do
Good
that?
point. No wonder they skipped that.
Yeah, like, and just skip it. And then Lucifer's remarkably rude to him. I mean, like, he's always rude, but you know, he's saying, like, because they ask, were you close with your daughter? And like, well, yes. Well, I was when she was little. And he's like, oh, you're an absentee father. I'm like, nothing he's saying makes it sound like he's an absentee father. It sounds like it's really hard for a single father to know how to raise a teenage daughter, which is just true.
Yeah.
You know? So like absolutely nothing that we see of the father makes it seem like what Lucifer's assuming about him is true.
Right.
You know, he didn't know his daughter, but again, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It just means adolescence is a tough time, and it's natural for children to push away from their parents, and try to you know, create their own identity. So like I felt for the poor guy this time around, especially because I was just like, whoa, like, you don't deserve this, and from a guy named Lucifer.
Ouch.
So similarly, I like a similar where they just kind of skip ahead. They don't show us how Dan explained things to Chloe. They just show her hitting him. Which, I mean, like, that's what we needed to see was her reaction. And
it's also just kind of good writing because if there's too much exposition there when we've already seen it, I think it might
Yeah,
get.
we already know. Yeah.
Yeah.
They do make sure that we see her like, you lied to me. You let me think I was crazy. You know, you like, do you have any sense of how badly you have screwed up?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was thinking about that too with that scene at the end where she realizes she's alone. Like when she's taking the call from Trixie, I was thinking like, oh my God, she's gonna have to explain to her daughter that her daughter's father is going to jail. Like that's already got to be stressful. So yeah,
It's a rough episode.
Rough episode. Yeah. Well, and I feel for poor Trixie, like at the end where like when after Chloe has shot Malcolm and she's like, Trixie, and she's like, is it over? Like, oh God.
Right. And there's a dead body right there, right? Of a
Yeah.
man that's just, yeah, that's traumatizing, man.
Mm-hmm.
Even like, actually, that's speaking of like picking back up what we were talking about before, where Chloe has this weird relationship, you know, with this man that she thinks is delusional, but I thought he killed you. Oh, he did. He did. I got better.
I got better.
Like we all saw he took a bullet to the gut at
Mm-hmm.
like a foot
Yeah.
range.
And I have to say, I love the way Tom Ellis falls. Like whoever I don't know, there's something so like natural about
Believable.
it.
Yeah. Even the way he
Yeah.
sort of convulses while
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm is talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good actor.
He's a very good actor. Yeah. He's a very good actor. Yeah. So yeah. And so like one hopes that Trixie, wherever she hid, couldn't see what was happening.
One hopes. She heard it.
But she heard it. And you know, Lucifer's her friend. And yeah.
Yeah.
We're tricks.
Yeah. Yeah. Whew. I feel like maybe we've overthunk it enough for one day.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think we may have overthunk it enough.
You got any final thoughts as we go
some
out?
fluffy.
Yeah. Any final fluff as we go out?
Final fluff. Yeah, I just want to make it clear how much I appreciate Tom Ellis's eye makeup game in this season.
He has some pretty heavy eyeliner in these two episodes.
So gorgeous. And I'm like, I love it.
I'm reminded of when you and I were at the dinner with my friend Joanna, and she was like, "Oh, right, that show where Tom Ellis wears way too much eyeliner," and I was like, "He wears precisely the right amount of eyeliner. Thank you very much."
There was a point where I was like, his eyes are so beautiful. Tom Ellis's eyes are so beautiful. Is he wearing makeup? And you're like, yes, Emily, he's wearing makeup. All right. Well, that means that I could recreate that. My eyes could be that beautiful, potentially. Well, maybe not that beautiful, but I could work on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I have one piece of fluff. I read somewhere, and I have not double checked it, and I apologize for my dog's butt in the background. I read somewhere that when the show is on Fox, for various reasons on network TV, you cannot show someone smoking a cigarette. But smoking is an important part of who the character is, at least in the comic book. And so that's why you always see him trying to light a cigarette and unable. There's cigarettes that are lit in an ashtray.
And he stubs one out when he's waiting for her to arrive at the Satanist headquarters.
So, but you never actually see him
take a drag.
It was not until someone pointed that out that I was just like, you're right, he never does. So anyway, that's my other piece of fluff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Until next week.